Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is the channel where I discuss internal dialogue and self-improvement that I've found in myself because I'm not perfect and I like to share this information with you guys as well to help you. Now, if you watched my previous video, I discussed self-sabotage, and this video builds a little bit off of some of those traits. So we'll start off with, there's a version of you that doesn't want to win. And it's not because this internal version hates you, but because winning would destroy the life that this version learned how to survive within you. And the more you grow, the louder that version becomes. Most people believe that we are, one person. We have one will, one set of goals. We're going in one direction, and that's not how it actually works. So, inside we have competing parts, that devil on one side, the angel on the other. And these are different versions of you built at different times for different reasons. And, that's why you want success one day and still do things that quietly undermine what you really want to do. Now, this isn't necessarily confusion, because I think we all know what we want, but it is conflict. So this is the truth that I've learned from these experiences and these internal dialogues, is the part of you that resists growth. It resists growth for some reason. At some point in your life, this resistance kept you safe. You learned how to lower your expectations, how to avoid disappointments, and how to choose comfort over risk. How to survive emotionally when growth wasn't an option. So now when you start changing, that part doesn't celebrate it. And more or less your old self panics. But not because growth is bad, but because growth feels like death to an old identity, that old self that was once you. This is why self-sabotage is rarely dramatic. It doesn't show up, as chaos, although it could, but it shows up as permission. We start thinking things like, oh, we deserve a break, just this one time. Oh, we'll restart tomorrow. These small rational decisions. So we make these comfortable decisions, and every time you make one, little pieces erode from our structure. Not your progress, not your self-trust, but because, we internally know better. And you still did it anyways. So here's something that I think most people miss, including myself, because I'm not perfect. I'm navigating this life journey along with you. It doesn't happen when we're failing. A lot of these self-sabotages happen when things are going in the right direction, when the momentum builds up, and when routines are fairly stable. We're doing the right thing. We're not smoking, we're not drinking, we're working out, we're hitting all the check boxes. When our expectations are on the rise, growth removes the excuses. It exposes the gaps. It demands the consistencies. And consistency terrifies that extra voice. The part of you that survived by staying small. So it pulls us backwards, and it does it very quietly. So not to destroy everything, just enough that it stays familiar. It wants to destroy the small things. This is why growth can sometimes feel very heavy. and why success feels extraordinary and intense at certain times. So, why progress creates this resistance instead of relief. We are not afraid of failure. You're afraid of the responsibilities that continue. But because responsibility means there's nowhere left to hide. Most advice tells you to eliminate this part of yourself and to, overpower it, kill it. But that doesn't really work. You can't, suppress something that exists to protect our internal self. So suppression just keeps making it smarter, and you'll keep listening to it. The goal isn't to silence that version of you. The goal is to confront it head on, to understand what it is that old version of you is trying to protect, and decide consciously whether it still gets to run your life in the future. So, let's ask ourselves this. When things start going well, what do you reach for? What are those habits? What's the escape? What's delaying us? The indulgence? Again, say it out loud. Name it. Even if it's just to yourself. If you're willing to write it down in the comments, go ahead. Not for validation, but for clarity. So because growth doesn't fail, because you lack discipline, it fails because the old version of you was never dismissed. And until we deal with that version, it'll just keep showing up. And it'll show up right when we're about to win. So keep that in mind.